Hey folks, what a day in the markets today. Massive swings because of what Trump's doing, right? Trump and his Secretary of Treasury telling us that they're going to make a deal with China now. They're going to cut the tariffs from 125% all the way down to 50, 60%. He literally said, Trump calmed the markets, said, we're going to take it down significantly, but obviously not at zero. So the markets jumped, right? Bitcoin made that move up, and the stock markets made that move up, and then his Treasury Secretary came out and said, no, wait, we're not going to unilaterally offer that trade deal to China, meaning that we're not going to make that offer and wait China to make a counter offer. That's what unilaterally means. He wants China to work with them at the same time. So the markets then pulled back. It's a crazy day. But the key thing here is that Bitcoin is at a key level, and we're going to look at Ethereum as well. Does Ethereum have a chance in today's rally? Now, so first of all, you notice that why am I saying Bitcoin is at a key level? Because everything else is at a key level. Look at the NASDAQ. Look at that, testing that resistance line right there. Here is the Spider ETF or SP500 as well, rejecting just off that trend line. I could have told you, that was going to happen even before the news dropped. And so Bitcoin obviously is at a crucial level as well. And what's going to happen to Bitcoin? Look at this. We've been talking about this 92K level for a long time now. Look at this. So it got here slightly quicker than I thought, right? We broke 86K. And I said, well, if we can confirm above there, takes a couple of days, then we're looking at trying to confirm above 92K. It just got there in 3 moves, 1, 2, 3. So basically we need 2 days at least of closes above this 92K area, key neckline, before we can say that Bitcoin is kind of getting to be safe. But what happens to Ethereum and what happens to Bitcoin will get rejected, because look at the stock market. It's at that amazing trend line right now. Before we answer that question, first let's answer the question of which crypto exchange does Pablo use? Well, Pablo uses this exchange that is non-KYC. That means you do not need to show your ID. That means anyone can join, even Americans can join, because the exchange can't see you. And that means basically the IRS can't see you, the CIA can't see you, the FBI, nobody can see you, the tax office can't see you, right? So I like them enough that I made a deal with them. Pablo is inviting you to trade on this link, right? Over $8,000 worth of freebies, newbie prizes just for joining, right? Over 1.3 million users already, the largest non-KYC exchange in the world right now, and the fastest growing as well. So if you're watching this on YouTube, then the link is in the description below. The link is in the description below. But if you're watching this on another platform, such as this one, then just go to my profile page, click on the profile page, and there's the stand link. We click on the stand link, and it's the first deal that comes up, because this is a big deal. Okay, so let's get back to the markets, and keep in mind, folks, only on the Pablo link right here. Okay, so looking at Bitcoin right now, the thing about Bitcoin is that what we don't want is a flirt above and then go down. And the danger of that happening is there, because Bitcoin's looking good, but however, what happens if the stock indexes, right, reject? So Bitcoin is now looking better than the stock indexes, because this was the downward pressure line. Bitcoin beat this line. It looks even better if I put it on logarithmic. See this? See how many times it's rejected from that line. So I just showed folks that the stock market, which is obviously very important, is actually trying to beat this line right now. It's at this downward trend line right now. Bitcoin kind of, again, front run the stock market once again, and it's now at the neckline of the breakdown. Coming back to the neckline, which is where this I marked out as a shoulder, head, shoulder, and here's the neckline at roughly 91.7K. That gave me a target of 73K, and we almost got there at 74K. So if Bitcoin can confirm above here, then that's very obvious, very bullish. Then I think we're going to get above 100K at least, if not even a new all-time high, and a blow off top can happen. And that's what I have said all along. my target was never lower than 73K, and I always said we should get a bounce at least to above 100K, even if we don't get even if we don't get a new all-time high. But however, just keep in mind, the stock market has a great influence on Bitcoin, and it looks like they could all get rejected at this line, go down for one more dip. Could be a double bottom, could be a higher low, and then bounce up. That was the SP 500. This is the NASDAQ. Wait, let me just put it on natural chart. Right, NASDAQ closing slightly higher above the line, flirting with the line, and NASDAQ 100 ETF, QQQ, flirting with this line as well. What happens if they all get rejected down because some Trump news where, like what happened today with Trump is that his Secretary of Treasury, who's leading all the negotiations, came out and said, well, we think this negotiation with China is going to take 2 to 3 years, and the market sunk, pulled back, because the market was like, wow, that doesn't sound like it's going to get resolved anytime quickly. And now, as promised, let's have a look at Ethereum as well. So Ethereum, basically, I mean, the chart looks good. Like, this is a good looking chart. We could interpret this as a bull flag breakout. And, if winner pulls back here, we hope it holds this 1700 level. Rest on here, and then boom. Try to go for the 2000 and then 2150 afterwards. So, this is on the weekly, it looks like a decent bottom. As I said a couple of videos ago, I said I think this 1390 area, that was probably the bottom, unless we see stocks totally just go down for another leg and just totally crash. Unless the stock market does that, I think Ethereum has probably bottomed. Another way to look at this is the ETH Bitcoin chart, which people have been asking, has Ethereum bottomed or not? We should move it to logarithmic scale. And this, once again, looks like a bottoming tail. What's the low here? 0.017. Not quite a double bottom, because this one was at 0.016. This bottom 0.016. This bottom 0.017. Yeah, let's have a closer look. 0.01696. So 0.017. So that's almost a double bottom. I would think that unless the stock market goes for another big leg down, I would say that's probably the bottom for Ethereum, and look how much more room it's got to go. I personally bought Ethereum on the way down, dollar cost averaged in. This has gone down further than I thought it would, and it surprised me. So basically, I hold a number of coins in the Ethereum ecosystem, such as ENS, such as Uniswap, such as SushiSwap, and Arrow, which is the largest exchange on the base chain. But I have to admit that the bounce here from Ethereum, which is 1400 to say 1800, is not as impressive. That's like a less than a 25% bounce compared to something like Salana. So Salana, for example, had a more than 50% bounce, and that's because Salana got smashed worse than anybody else out of all the Bitcoins. It went from almost 300 down to 95. So that was like a 66% fall, and that's even bigger than Ethereum from memory. So the bounce here to 154 so far, that's actually better than that's like a 60%, 55% bounce. That's much better than Ethereum, which is not even a 25% bounce. Last time I made the video about Salana about 2-3 days ago. I said it could get stopped here at this 141 level. But since Bitcoin has went to 94, so if Salana didn't stop and it's going to the next level, so next resistance level, I would say, is this area here, which is 164, 165 area. Why? Because we have this channel here, and if you don't, if we look closely at this channel, it's basically look at this pivot top, pivot top, pivot bottom, pivot bottom, pivot bottom, kind of a pivot bottom. So that at least that trend line at the top has been well confirmed. And then let's have a look at on the bottom here. We can also see pivot bottom, pivot bottom, pivot bottom, pivot bottom. So this is a well-established trend line, and I would think there should be some strong resistance at 164, 165 area if Salana gets there and we take a bounce. Probably pull back to 141 at least inside this trend line. Okay, let's get on to answering the question of why is Ethereum why is Ethereum lagging Bitcoin in the bounce this time? Okay, so first of all, have a look at this, guys. This is the amount of money flowing into Bitcoin ETFs on Wall Street. It started like Jan 2024, and we saw lots of big flows. And then when quiet, that's when Bitcoin had that dump to 49K. And then flows started coming in again, big and strong. And that's when Bitcoin went to 90K, eventually 100K, 108, 109. And then Bitcoin dumps. The Wall Street ETFs start dumping. Bitcoin goes to 76K and then 74K. And now, look, the buying on Wall Street is coming back again. Big candles, so Bitcoin is coming back again to 94 right now. But look at Ethereum. We graph this alongside Ethereum. These orange bars is buying volume on Ethereum, on Bitcoin, orange for Bitcoin. And we see these two big buying bars, right, pushing it to above 86 and then to 94. Like we saw 92, 94, like we're seeing right now. But however, the blue one is the Ethereum buying flows, the blue one. Look how much smaller that is. And that is, people might say, oh, because Ethereum is smaller. This number is not the amount of Ethereum they're buying. It's normalized by spot volume. Normalized by spot volume. What it means is basically, you take the amount of Ethereum that Wall Street is buying, divided by it, and then you divide it by the total spot volume of Ethereum. The orange line divided by the total spot volume of Bitcoin. And it's expressed as a percentage. See how Bitcoin is like getting something like 6%, 10%, 12%, 15%, 14% of the volume of its spot volume buying Bitcoin. Whereas Ethereum is basically fluctuating between 1% to 2% buys to 1%, 2% sales. Not a lot of enthusiasm for Ethereum from Wall Street just yet. And part of the reason for that is because Wall Street sees Bitcoin as some sort of store of value, like a digital gold. It understands it's buying something that is like a crypto or a blockchain version of gold, right? And that's why Bitcoin had that rally up recently, even though stocks were going down. But for Ethereum, Wall Street don't see it that way. Wall Street sees Ethereum as this new technology for smart contracts, for doing things like generating NFTs, creating DeFi, creating DeSci, creating all these new wonderful ecosystems on a blockchain. So it's like another tech product, another tech company to them. So then they ask, well, how much future does it have, and how much earnings does it have right now? And Ethereum doesn't have that much earnings. It does have some because of all the fees it generates from the gas fees and the staking. But however, it's like, in terms of PE ratio, if you had to graph that as a PE ratio compared to other tech stocks, then it's pretty low. It's pretty low for, it's pretty high. The PE is pretty high, meaning the earnings pretty low for Ethereum. So in their mind, it doesn't quite justify the price tag, the market cap for Ethereum right now. That's why there's not a lot of enthusiasm for buying Ethereum right now. But for an altcoin season to kick off, which if Bitcoin gets above 100K again, especially makes a new all-time high again, which I think it's 50% chance that's coming, a new all-time high, then Ethereum needs to lead the charge for this alt season. It is theoretically possible that you could do it without Ethereum. You could have like things like BNB, XRP, Solana, Dogecoin. Those 4 or 5 coins lead the charge for a new bull run in altcoins. But it would really be helpful if Ethereum can pop above 3,000 or 3,500, and then we get that big run in alts. Well, okay, let's see what happens next. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'll catch you guys next episode.